More enemy diversity? Check. More combat variety? Check. Bigger, more interesting worlds to explore? Check. A campaign that is around 35 to 40 hours long with all side content and endgame content hitting around the 70-hour mark? Checkmate. Reviews are live and the numbers continue to roll in, and dare I say it, it looks like God of War Ragnarok is another smashing success in the franchise. Surprise, surprise. Garnering a respectable 94% average on Metacritic, just like the previous game, reviewers far and wide praise the game's much further expanded scope, enhanced combat, greater emphasis on diversity in both its enemy encounters and realms to explore, larger side content and endgame content, along with a god-tier story that wraps up Kratos' final bout in the Norse realms. In this video, I will be going over some of the key takeaways from the God of War Ragnarok reviews, and will keep it entirely spoiler-free. After the game releases to the public, I will make content surrounding the game that will contain spoilers and will specifically state it so you know what you're getting into. So, for those of you who don't want to get spoiled, stick here in this video, and just be aware of the comments section as you never know what people are going to post down there. A lot of reviewers captured their own unique footage to the game, and I'm not going to use their footage in this video. Therefore, what you will be seeing is footage from the trailers and gameplay videos provided by Sony and Game Informer. And with that out of the way, let's take a look at what the critics have to say about the game.
What is it you will not tell me?
I can't talk about it, but I just need you to trust me.
Right off the bat, most everyone who has reviewed the game states that the game is very much an incredibly pleasing one to look at, serving double duty by being one of the best looking games on the PS4 and by being one of the best looking games on the PS5. Santa Monica Studio have pushed what made God of War 2018 so technically and visually spectacular to great new heights in God of War Ragnarok. Those who were saddened by God of War Ragnarok being a game that was developed for both the PS4 and PS5, well, don't fret, as those who have played the PS5 version say this game stands head and shoulders above almost all PS5 games out on the market, whether cross-gen or even exclusive to the PS5. Enhanced water effects, lighting, particle effects, performance and resolutions all work together that make an already incredibly looking PS4 game look even better than ever on the PS5. The game is reportedly one of the most eye-catching games on both the PS4 and the PS5, and with all the incredible improvements made to nearly every facet of the game, the quality of the title is what permeates throughout. Having some of the best animations in the industry, coupled with truly incredible performance work done by the actors and the animators, this is another top-tier PlayStation game that stands tall as one of the greatest graphical achievements the company has ever released. Regarding the story this time around, as epic as Ragnarok is thematically with the clashing of the Aesir and Vanir gods and the many factions that comprise the 9 realms, the story is said to take more of an emotional and somber tone than that of the bombast we would likely expect. Staying more in line to that of the previous game in terms of tone, Kratos and Atreus have taken on a lot of growth as they come to terms of their own purpose in a world literally falling apart at the seams. Atreus is 3 years older this time around, and he shows a much more independent side to his character that we didn't see much of in the previous game. Capable with battling enemies with his ranged expertise and at close range with his enhanced hand-to-hand combat, Atreus is much more deadly this time around, and the same can be said about his father, Kratos, as well. Many reviewers claim the game is surprisingly hilarious in many parts of the story, often revolving around the bluntness of Kratos and the more humorous Mimir coupled with the curiosity of Atreus. These moments do a great job of balancing the more serious thematic tone with doses of humor to ground the characters in the world they live in.
Boy, you're a boy, aren't you?
The writing is perhaps the best we've seen from the developers, and many reviewers shine a bright light on the amazing supporting cast of characters for their incredible performances. Looks like we've got another top-notch story to look forward to here with a lot of growth, conflict, and the fixings of all the essential ingredients to produce a story we will remember for years. if not decades to come, and promises a respectful conclusion to the Norse arc in the God of War saga. We have gone over in great detail the incredible lengths Santa Monica Studio have done to give Kratos even more depth to the game's combat, and I won't go over that much here in this video, but several things are worth mentioning. Many reviewers claim that the combat in God of War Ragnarok is the very best combat that has ever been done in the series, by giving players ample ways to play the game according to how they want to play it. Like we discussed in the previous video I did regarding the game's overhaul of combat options that you can view here in this card on your screen, players can essentially play the game in a myriad of ways that fits their own playstyle. We can expect many players to have different builds that vary dramatically from what other players of the game may use. Speaking of combat, the action is more visceral and is a clear callback to the older God of War games in terms of blood and gore, with many more limbs to hack off and send soaring to the heavens this time around. Enemy variety and boss variety, something we have been discussing a lot now on this channel, is said to have been completely addressed in God of War Ragnarok, with this game eclipsing the previous God of War 2018 in terms of this variety within the first 5 to 10 hours of the game alone. Special mention is due for the set-piece moments in God of War Ragnarok, as these are said to be some of the most eye-catching moments any game studio has produced, and rivals the flair and spectacle of even some of Naughty Dog's very best work. The puzzles are imaginative and greatly break up the pace of the game flow, requiring the player to utilize all the new gameplay opportunities at their disposal, including the use of the grapple, jumping off ledges, deploying the use of a variety of new gadgets, and more. All of this, and while taking in the majestic beauty of all 9 realms this time around in God of War Ragnarok. Perhaps what we wanted most here at Fun My Life was a substantial campaign to play that featured an excellent variety of main and side content that took you to more expansive realms, and it looks like the sequel addresses that. Almost all of the 9 realms are substantial, huge and impressive in scope. These realms give players Midgard-like sizes of spaces that have linear sections that interconnect with a larger, more open hub expanse, giving players plenty of opportunities to venture off the beaten path and tackle side content should they choose. These realms are said to include some of the most majestic and enchanting vistas we've ever seen in video games. And if you are even remotely interested in exploration and finding out what lies beyond the corner, you will absolutely take fancy to this game's variety of landscapes, secrets, optional content, and more. With a substantial amount of side content in this game, players will have dozens upon dozens of hours added to their playtime should they so choose to partake in this content. The side quests are offered in every realm, and has content that rivals even the quality of the main quest, with incredible acting, character performances, and gameplay moments. For those wanting an endgame, Ragnarok has challenges that rival even Sigrun of the previous game, and is home to even more monstrous boss fights that players can partake in well after the credits roll. If there was but one gripe that I've heard regarding this game, it is that sometimes the enemies can completely overwhelm the player, exposing the game's enemy indicators as something that just adds to the mess in certain combat encounters. Although these mob fights are not that frequent, the up-close camera, coupled with the enemy indicator dial not being able to keep up with the sheer amount of enemies, has proven to be frustrating to many players. In addition, not all realms are as fully featured as we all wished, with special mention to Muspelheim, largely containing similar combat challenges to the previous game, even though there is just a bit more exploring to be had there. Now, even with these few minor complaints, what Santa Monica Studio have managed to do is Herculean. How they managed to make an almost perfect game even better is absolutely nuts, and is one that I'm sure all of us who have been waiting so long to play will find upwards of more than 70 hours of content that we will never forget. View this video here on your screen to see a more detailed explanation of all the new combat systems added to God of War Ragnarok, and be sure to stick around for even more God of War Ragnarok content as we get to the launch and after the game comes out. Thanks for all the support, good people, and if there's one thing I want to ask of you, it is to get out there and support this game, and that I am sure you won't regret.